guys, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Ken, and today we're here to review Madame Web.
Madame Web.
Madame Web.
Right.
I've heard it called that before as well. This is the superhero sensation of 2024. We watched this on Netflix.
It is on Netflix.
It dropped on it this week, so if you guys want to check it out, it is on Netflix, available on there. But
yeah,
look, before we get into it, we're going to break this sucker down. Who knows how long this review is going to be? We might have to have just a super in-depth discussion on Madame Web. There's a lot of moving parts here. But before we get into it, if you like movies and television, hit that subscribe button. We talk about them. We also do fun, entertaining live streams every Monday night. Just everything entertainment related over here on Married with Media.
Yeah, and make sure you like the video.
Yep, like the video like she said, and then drop us a comment down below. Did you see this movie in the theaters? Did you watch it on Netflix since it dropped recently? Let us know your thoughts on it in the comments section below. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you ready to get into our thoughts on Madame Web? What did you think of this?
I'm ready. So, this movie definitely got a lot of hate.
It's an understatement.
All I kept hearing was how terrible this movie was. So it kind of reminded me of when The Flash came out.
Yeah.
I had been looking forward to The Flash, and I kept hearing that it was not good. And so I got kind of sad, and, well, I don't know if you'd say sad, but I was like, oh, man, that sucks.
I was sad because I was looking forward to seeing Michael Keaton as Batman.
But then we finally got to see The Flash, and we actually ended up liking it.
Yeah, I like the movie.
So I kind of was wondering if this was going to be a repeat of that, but I'm here to report that it was not.
It was not.
It's...
Wait, you didn't love this movie?
I will say, though, this movie is not as bad as I feel like people are saying. It's not good. It's not great. But I feel like the hate may be a little exaggerated, which the internet likes to do. It's not all terrible. So
I feel like especially in the movie community, people and groups choose to latch on to a specific movie if it's bad, which this movie, look, I'm not gonna lie, it's a bad movie. It's not a good movie. Is it the worst thing I've ever seen? No, but I feel like people latch on to something and they just kind of run with it, and by the time that they're done, it's just the worst thing that's ever been created to put to screen. And that's not the case here, I don't believe. But
yeah, I mean, honestly, going in, I still don't really know much about Madame Web, if that tells you anything about this movie. But yeah, going in, didn't know too much about the character. Do you feel like you did, or?
So I remember Madame Web on the cartoon that I used to watch when I was a kid. Spider-Man would go visit her on the rooftop, and she would have visions of what he needed to do or something. So that's probably that's the extent of what I know of Madame Web. Yeah,
so, I guess after watching this movie, from what I understand, she is just basically able to see the future. Yep. She gets glimpses of the future, and she's able to, spoiler alert, she learns her powers well enough by the end that she can be in more than one place at the same time.
Yeah.
So, that was basically the gist of it. And, I felt like in comparison to other superhero movies that we've gotten through the years, which, let's be honest, there's a lot of them, right?
There is.
This one is definitely, in the weak group, down there with Venom and
yeah, which that just goes into this whole new universe that Sony's doing.
Right.
We had the last one was Morbius. I will say that I enjoyed this one, I guess, more than Morbius. I just thought Morbius was just a drag, and it was just super boring. I could barely focus on it. This one, I'm not gonna say it's good, but it had some more entertaining parts to it, I feel like.
Yeah, I didn't even realize. So Sony's basically done, have they done any good superhero movies?
I mean, I like the first Venom, and they've done the Spider-Verse movies. They're responsible for those. But as far as the live action, I like the first Venom. I hated Let There Be Carnage. I did not like Morbius, and this movie's just okay to me.
Yeah.
So
this has Dakota Johnson.
Yeah.
Dakota Johnson, which, I don't particularly love her. She's just, she's okay. And then, of course, it's got Sydney Sweeney. which, you know, she tends to be okay for me. She's been in a lot of good stuff.
I feel like all these actresses, like when they're in capable hands of like good
Right.
filmmakers
They can
that can direct them, they can
deliver.
deliver some really good performances,
Yeah, that's true.
which
But
was not the case here.
this was not the case here, which I can kind of just get into. I feel like a big problem with this movie is the dialogue,
Yeah,
the writing.
it's not good.
It's just not good. The stuff that they have to say in this movie, it's so like scripted and corny and like very generic and basic. Like it's just very comical. There are so many moments where I'm just like, who wrote this? Like this is just terrible.
Yeah, and I mean, we've raised the bar when it comes to superhero movies in the past 15 years with the
Right.
MCU. I mean, they're kind of lowering it now, but
Yeah.
like people are just used to seeing good superhero movies for like the past 15 years, I feel like.
Right, it's true.
Now, when I was a kid, they were hit and miss. I mean, so this kind of reminds me of like back in the day when we would get something like a Batman and Robin or something.
Yeah.
Or an Elektra or a Catwoman with Halle Berry.
Right.
Like something like that. But with this one, it's just the difference between this and like Batman and Robin is like Batman and Robin is just like so over the top with how bad it is that
Right.
it actually becomes like enjoyable and entertaining. And this movie doesn't really ever approach that. Like
Okay.
you don't have like the Arnold Schwarzenegger one-liners and stuff like that. Stuff that you can latch onto and enjoy.
Right.
All the incredible visuals and stuff. So
Yeah, I
this
mean,
one's
it's
just kind of bland and there.
It's kind of like, you know, you could say, okay, so the writing's not that great, whatever, but it's a superhero movie. Like, how's the superhero part of it? How's the, you know, action scenes and stuff like that? Well, it doesn't really have that either.
Yeah.
I feel like that it doesn't, like, neither one of those things is really working for it. There's nothing that's just, like, wowing you or anything, or, like, you know, doesn't really
It's-
like look that good.
It's
So
really like I would even struggle to call this a superhero movie because
Right.
it's an origin story like all the way through. Like it's
Yeah.
it's entirely an origin story. Like-
you can tell that they were definitely hoping that they would be able to make more, which we don't think that's going to happen, right?
No.
Because
no.
of how poorly it was received.
I don't see it happening, no.
But yeah, literally the only time you see like them in costume is in like vision, like the
Yeah.
future, like when she saw like visions of the future and stuff. And it was like very brief, you know, moments, scenes. And it was just so minimal. Like, I mean, we're talking almost nothing.
Yeah,
like,
this is like seconds of footage. And I'm like, well, you know, if this was in the movie, maybe it still probably wouldn't be good, but
Right.
it would, you know, move it up just a little bit. We
Right.
actually got a little bit of superhero action here and there.
yeah.
Which, I mean, there's the villains in costume. So, I mean, like, there's that.
The villain is in costume the most,
Yeah.
for sure. And speaking of the villain, he was, besides like the horrible dialogue, he was the other worst part of the movie.
Yeah.
I was telling him while we were watching it, I'm like, the way that he's talking, which I don't think that he's an American actor.
No, he's,
I
don't think
feel
so.
like he's like, when I looked at the villain, when I looked at other films that he's been in, it looks like he's been in some other like foreign films and stuff. So I don't think that his English accent is necessarily the strongest.
Yeah.
But whenever he's talking, whenever he has moments of dialogue, it's so like, it almost feels like it's dubbed over, like you're
Yeah.
watching a subtitle film or something. It just like does not match up. It just doesn't fit the vibe, and it's just really bad.
Which I knew about because I watched a lot of people's reviews for this. Like, usually I don't do that if I plan on talking about a movie, but this
Yeah.
movie I honestly didn't know if I would ever see it.
Also, kind of talking about the director, I felt like this movie felt kind of like TV
Yeah.
showy. It just felt more like a TV show, the way that it was shot and just like the cuts and stuff. And
Even the way that the effects looked,
Mm-hmm.
like it looked like those like CW superhero shows like The
Yeah.
Flash and stuff like that.
it just didn't have that like grand movie
Yeah.
aesthetic to it. And you know, when we were looking looking up about the director, she's definitely had her.
Jay Clarkson's her name.
Yeah, she's definitely done a lot of TV, so that kind of makes sense now that you told me that.
Yeah, but when I was looking, I was like, she's done some Succession episodes, which that's one of the best shows on TV.
I just want to make a mention of the end of this movie. You know, I was just like literally cracking up seeing, you know, Madam Web or Dakota Johnson in her like little wheelchair scooter thing, whatever it is. She was giving me like, what's the X-Men guy?
Xavier?
Yeah, she was trying, like, giving me vibes like him, but she was like, she's like in this accident, I guess, by the end of it. Yeah. And I guess she can't walk anymore for some reason. And then
well, she was in that chair in Spider-Man. Like, I think that's
right.
I think
like,
they were trying to make her how she's supposed to look, how that character's supposed to look.
Yeah, she's like in this accident, which didn't seem like it would like paralyze her or anything, but it did, and it also like took her sight away or something. So she had these like glasses on by the end of it. She was like, she had this like goofy smile on her face, and
she was playing it serious, but you could kind of tell that she wasn't taking it seriously at the same time.
It was just, it was bad.
Everybody in this movie felt like they knew what kind of movie they were making.
You think?
You know, and you got Adam Scott in this movie as well, and he just kind of jumps in and out, and he's supposed to be playing like a big character in this like Spider-Verse,
right?
And they just kind of play that up throughout the film, in several instances and scenes, and it just becomes super over the top as well.
And then just one of the girls, one of the side characters, I looked up, and she's in the Ghostbuster films, so
yeah, she probably felt like she had the most energy in the whole movie, I feel like.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Whereas everybody else kind of just felt like they were sleepwalking.
Yeah,
so I can give her a little credit for trying to make something out of her role.
Yeah, she definitely was playing a character that kind of has an attitude.
Yeah.
So that could be why too. But anyway, are you ready to rate this movie?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay. I mean,
you first.
Yeah, I've kind of I don't know. I'm not gonna.
You loved it. You really did. You want to give it a 5.
Don't be like that. I'm gonna give it a 3. A 3 out of 5. I feel like that's fair. I don't feel like this is a 2.5 because in my opinion a 2.5 is like pretty
awful.
Pretty awful. And this was like,
you think this was watchable?
I felt like this was watchable. Yes.
Will you rewatch it?
For the bad or for the good. I was able to get through it, so I feel like it should get some credit for that. So yeah, 3 out of
5. Well, I will give it a 2.5 out of a 5, but I don't think it's the worst thing ever. I would give Morbius a 2 probably. Okay. I think this film's biggest problem is the fact that it's just really not a superhero movie. And it just if you're going to see a superhero movie, like you want some superhero like action, and it's like they never turn into the superhero.
Right, there you have it.
That's our review, guys. We appreciate you watching. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you haven't already, leave us your comments down below on Madam Web, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye, guys.